Season 2, Episode 7 of Pachinko is really, really interesting, and we are moving forward with everything. This is the second to last episode, since next week's episode, as of this review, is the Season 2 finale, which is Episode 8. Now, in 1989, we see Naomi meets with the director of Shifley's and Tom Andrews. Now, Tom informs Naomi that certain allegations have been made that she has breached security protocol. And let me just say, Anna Sawai is really, really everywhere right now with Shogun, Monsters, and like the Godzilla show on Apple TV Plus. It's just really good to see her in shows, and she really brings a different dynamic into the characters that she plays. Now, kind of in a way, he claims that she has leaked confidential client information about the IPO, about the financing area, as she protests that she has not done anything wrong, and that's it's a way to jeopardize working with her, or so the IPO that's supposedly moving forward. The theme of moving forward is a big, big kind of Easter egg and lingering over every character in this episode 7 of season 2. They tell her that she has a bad lapse of judgment, and it means that they will need to accept her resignation. Let it be known that back in the 80s, women really didn't have that much say of what they could trust or who to trust. The men were dominating the markets in the 80s. It was a male dominant world, still is a male dominant world. But then when the women came into the working areas and departments, it was like, all right, it's time for a change. No, you can really see that happening like this, and they're really kind of doing certain things. Now, Naomi Goes to Solomon is one of those, let's put this plan in motion kind of thing. And she escapes to her office to break down out of view from the others. And it's just an emotional way she just breaks down and just kind of, can't believe what is happening with her. In a way, the only insight we see is that Solomon's situation in this episode is that what can he do now? And it's like, all right, what is really happening? We then see Mozazu gets his report back from the investigator he hired to look into Kato, and he tells Mozazu that Kato kind of lives alone and hardly sees any of his family, and he has no real assets or anything like that. Mozazu gives Sunya evidence that Kaito played a part in the chapter of the Japanese history, and in August of 1948, which is the history of Kaito, he was a part of a unit of soldiers that massacred close to 140, 150 American POWs. You see Sunya's face doesn't want to believe it, so you know she's going to confront him about this in an interesting way. And that kind of, puts aside the 1989 timeline. I don't want to give too much away because this is really, really, going steadfast and moving really fast. Now we go back to the 1950s. In 1950, everyone is celebrating Noah getting into the university that he wanted. It's a great celebration. Everyone's happy. You see the dynamic of everything going on. And the only person who doesn't seem happy is Yosef, who is shown inside alone, just looking on, and kind of looks like you can tell like he doesn't like what's happening. He's kind of jealous, so to speak. And later, when the family is gathering for dinner, you kind of see Yosef complains about certain cooking, the way things are cooked, the food, and kind of angrily gripes that he doesn't even get enough respect in their home. Finally, you see that Mozazu explodes, asking how much longer will you have to be like this in order to be satisfied of what you are with your life. It's a really interesting dynamic. And then Yosef kind of, in a way, hasn't left the house for 5 years, even after the war has been over. And you see that because he kind of has that PTSD, I want to say, in a way. But it's like, all right, what is really going on? The boys finally kind of, in a way, convince him to go outside, even though he is terrified because, like I said, it's the PTSD kicking in. They take him to a baseball game, and while he's watching the little kids play, Yosef finally is able to forget his troubles for just a little while. In kind of a later scene, you see Mr. Kim coming and Yosef kind of interacting for the first time in this series. And kind of, in a way, Mr. Kim tells him that he's going to join the fighting in Korea, which he thanks Joseph for allowing him to do so. But then it's a realization of, okay, why are you doing this? And they have a back and forth of, should you go, shouldn't you go, why you're doing this, why are you fighting? It's a really, really interesting aspect of what everything happens in this episode. Now, in 1950, at the celebration of Noah, we see Hansu give his son the watch that he once gave to Sunya in a nice, touching way, in a nice, touching manner. because if you remember, he brought it back from the pawn broker, excuse me, and she sold it in season 1. So it's coming around full circle after so many episodes and 1 season later, and it's a really, really fun thing to see. And then you see Sunya and Noah arrive in Tokyo to get Noah all settled in. And I will say that I'm going to end that review right here because there are so much things happening that you have to see in order to enjoy this series and this episode. You think things are going in the right direction. You think in the 1950s everything's going well. It kind of is. And then with the contrast of the 1980s, nothing is going well. There are some episodes where everything's going well in the 80s, nothing's going well in the 50s or during the war. Well, we know nothing goes well during a war, but then all of a sudden, it's vice versa, vice, whatever you want to call it. The characters, the dynamic is so well done. Seeing a younger Sunya compared with the older Sunya in the 1980s, so good. The actors, the actresses really grab attention and hold on to the aspect of, all right, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. But it just flows so well with the story. And it's like when one scene ends, the editing is so done that it goes right into the next scene. You don't lose track of time if you really pay attention to what's happening. If you haven't seen this show since, or if you've never watched it, and season 1 and now this season, you're going to be very confused. Because season 1, I will say, we just got used to the characters. We didn't know what was happening. Who was this? Who was that? But now, if 7 episodes into season 2, you see the dynamic of, okay, we know who's playing what, who's connected, what the conspiracy theories are, what the investigations are, the family dynamic, the non-family dynamic, the jealousy, the corruption. Everything you notice is there. But also, the big thing about season 2 was setting it during World War II, which we had to definitely see. I'm curious to see if the season 2 episode 8 finale is going to be one and done. Will we get more story, or will they close everything out? It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen next in episode 8. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about season 2 episode 7 of Pachinko. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect of the story? Do you think things are going in motion moving forward, or do you think that something's going to happen, they'll hit a wall, and then it just, crumbles down? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you all in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week to my Season 2 finale, Episode 8 review of Pachinko.